Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting stack of material today, uh, focusing on what they call foundational biohacking,
Mm.
stuff for better focus. And it seems the message is maybe ignore the super complex gadgets for a minute. The sources define biohacking pretty simply. It's about consciously taking control of your own biology.
Yeah, your neurochemicals, diet, sleep,
Right.
basically trying to influence the programs we run, as they put
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And that's key. We often look for complicated fixes, but the real power, according to this research, is in nailing the fundamentals. So our mission today really is to boil this down, to find the three core things you need for, well, better self-control and motivation.
Okay. What are they?
It comes down to dopamine regulation, solid nutrition, and getting your sleep right. It's not about fancy hacks, it's about mastering these basics consistently.
Okay, makes sense. Consistency over complexity. So let's unpack this,
Oh.
starting, I guess, inside the head
Yeah.
with dopamine.
Right, the master switch for motivation, you could say.
So, dopamine. For ages, we've heard it called the pleasure chemical. That's kind of stuck, hasn't it?
It really has. But the sources are pretty clear. If you want to understand focus, you need a more nuanced view.
Okay, so what is it doing then, primarily?
It's better thought of as the molecule of more. It's less about the pleasure itself and more about the anticipation of a reward, the drive to seek things out, the search for novelty.
Ah, okay, so it keeps you striving, looking for the next thing.
Exactly. It's essential. But there's a big problem in our modern world. The sources call it hedonic adaptation.
The hedonic treadmill, right? I think we've all felt that.
Yeah, absolutely. You get that amazing new phone or you find a fantastic
For
restaurant.
the first week, it's incredible.
Right, it just becomes normal, routine. That initial dopamine excitement, it drops off because the novelty is gone. Your brain's basically saying, okay, what's next?
And the modern world is just built to exploit that what's next feeling, isn't it?
Oh, completely. It's intentional. Think about instant gratification traps, social media feeds, sugary drinks, those casual phone games. They're engineered with uncertain rewards.
Uncertain rewards.
Yes,
Like you don't know what you'll see when you refresh the feed.
precisely. That uncertainty keeps you hooked, keeps that dopamine system firing, and the numbers are kind of staggering. Average social media use is, around 145 minutes a day globally?
Wow, okay.
That's a lot of constant, easy stimulation. It keeps your baseline dopamine level artificially high.
So what does that do to us? If our brain gets used to that high level from just scrolling for 2 seconds, what happens when we try to do something hard, like, write that report or go for a run?
It leads to dysregulation. Your brain expects that quick hit, deep, challenging work, the stuff that requires sustained focus, like really learning a skill or, writing a book. It just feels boring, unbearably so sometimes.
Because it doesn't give you that instant reward.
Exactly. It doesn't satisfy that high baseline you've conditioned yourself to expect. So we check out, our attention spans shrink. That's the first thing to go.
Okay, so when people talk about doing a dopamine detox or a dopamine fast, the goal isn't actually to get rid of dopamine because we need it, right?
No, definitely not. You absolutely need dopamine for motivation. The goal is to lower that baseline, to reduce your reliance on those super high stimulus, low effort things, the endless scrolling, the sugary snacks.
To kind of reset your sensitivity.
Precisely. You want to retrain your brain so that healthier, maybe lower stimulus activities like reading or exercise or focused work start to feel rewarding again. You're building back the capacity for what one source called genuinely earned pleasure.
Genuinely earned pleasure. I like that.
Yeah.
Understanding the brain chemistry is one thing.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Doing something about it is the hard part. Knowing isn't doing.
That's the perennial challenge, isn't it? How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah. So how do the sources suggest we actually translate this knowledge into action? Consistently.
Well, this is where we shift gears a bit from pure neuroscience to behavioral economics, specifically using something called nudge theory.
Nudge theory. Like nudging yourself in the right direction.
Kind of, yeah. It's about choice architecture, making small, subtle changes to your environment so that the good choice becomes the easier choice, or at least easier than it was, without actually forbidding anything.
Making the lazy option the healthy option. I like that idea.
Exactly.
Okay, so how does that work in practice? What are the elements of this choice architecture?
A big one is understanding your defaults. What happens if you do nothing? If you exert zero effort?
Like hitting snooze. That's definitely a default for many people.
Right. So if you want to exercise in the morning, is your default staying in bed? Or could you change the default? Maybe by like putting your workout clothes right by your bed, maybe even on top of your phone.
So getting up and getting dressed is almost unavoidable, the path of least resistance.
That's the idea. Reduce the friction for the good habit. And for nutrition, it's similar. Make the unhealthy stuff harder to get to.
Like not buying in the first place.
That's the simplest way. If the junk food isn't in the house, you can't easily eat it at 10 p.m. Maybe delete those food delivery apps if they're a constant temptation.
And the flip side, make the healthy stuff super easy.
Yep. Make it highly visible, highly accessible. Don't bury the apples in the bottom drawer of the fridge. Put a nice bowl of fruit right there on the counter where you see it all the time.
Okay, these environmental tweaks make sense, but I think a lot of us stumble when we try to make huge, sweeping changes all at once. I'm going to completely overhaul my diet starting tomorrow.
The all-or-nothing crap. Yeah, it rarely works. It's too overwhelming.
Which is why I really like this other concept from the sources. The micro-resolution. What's that about?
Ah, yeah, micro-resolutions. People like Caroline Arnold talk about these. They're brilliant because they're small, limited, specific, measurable changes. But crucially, they give you an immediate, observable benefit.
So not, I'll never eat chocolate again.
Definitely not. That's setting yourself up to fail. A micro-resolution might be. Okay, instead of the king-size chocolate bar you usually have, you commit to buying the small, single-serving one.
Still getting the chocolate, but less of it.
Exactly. Or maybe you love popcorn with your movie. Instead of the butter-drenched kind, you resolve just for movie nights to switch to air-popped popcorn with maybe some spices.
So you're satisfying the underlying habit, the craving, but you're strategically making it better, less harmful, having the sugar or the calories without feeling totally deprived.
Precisely. It's a small strategic win, and those small wins build momentum. It's the consistency that matters, much more than some huge initial burst of effort that fizzles out.
That makes sense. Small hinges swing big doors eventually.
They really do. And tied into this, really importantly, is self-compassion.
Ah, yes. Because we will slip up.
Inevitably. You'll eat the wrong thing, you'll skip the workout, it happens. The key is how you react. If you beat yourself up, you're way more likely to just give up entirely. Think, oh, well, I've blown it now.
Right. The spiral.
Instead, the advice is acknowledge it. Okay, that happened. Maybe figure out why it happened briefly. Then just get back on track with your next meal or your next workout. No drama, no guilt. Just acceptance and moving forward. That resilience is crucial for long-term change.
Okay, so we've tackled the brain's motivation system, dopamine, and how to manage our behavior with nudges and micro-resolutions. Now let's talk about the hardware, I guess, the physical foundation.
Yeah, the physiological base layer, nutrition and sleep. You can't really biohack your way out of a bad diet or chronic sleep deprivation.
So nutrition first. It can feel overwhelmingly complex, diets everywhere. What's the simplest, most effective starting point from our sources?
It's hard to beat Michael Pollan's famous line, eat food, not too much, mostly plants.
Eat food, meaning real, unprocessed food.
Exactly. Food your great-grandmother would recognize. Not food like substances from packages with ingredients you can't pronounce.
Not too much.
Portion control, mindful eating, being aware of satiety cues. This also connects back to dopamine, actually. Well, if you overeat, especially highly refined foods or sugary things, you get those big blood sugar spikes and then crashes.
Right, the afternoon slump.
Exactly. And when you crash, your energy plummets, your focus goes out the window, and what do you crave?
Something quick. Sugar, caffeine, maybe just scrolling for a distraction.
Bingo. Instant gratification to get that dopamine hit again. So not too much. Helps stabilize your energy and focus, reducing those cravings.
Okay. And mostly plants.
That seems to be a common thread through the healthiest dietary patterns.
Speaking of healthy patterns, what diets did the sources highlight as particularly beneficial, maybe the gold standards?
The Mediterranean diet consistently comes up, lots of evidence behind it. High in healthy fats like olive oil, plenty of vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, lean protein like fish, and relatively low in red meat and processed foods.
Right, that one's pretty well known.
And they also looked at the traditional Okinawan diet from Okinawa, Japan, known for longevity.
What's characteristic of that one?
It's very plant-forward, too, especially root vegetables like sweet potatoes. Also features lean seafood, soy products, not much meat or dairy. Low calorie density, high nutrient density.
So the takeaway isn't necessarily everyone must follow the Mediterranean or Okinawan diet strictly, right?
No, not at all. The point is to see the common principles. Healthy fats are good. Lean protein is good. Lots and lots of different vegetables and fruits are good. Minimizing processed stuff and excess sugar is good.
Find a way of eating that incorporates those principles consistently.
Exactly. Aim for, say, 80% adherence to those fundamentals. Don't get bogged down chasing 100% perfection with really rigid plans like, super strict keto or paleo, unless there's a specific medical reason. Consistency with the basics beats short-term extremism.
Okay. And within nutrition, we have to talk about the gut biome, the second brain. This seems like a huge area in biohacking now.
It really is. You've got, 100 trillion microbes in your gut. They influence your immune system, your weight, even your mood. It's incredibly complex.
So how do we support a healthy gut biome? The sources mention probiotics and prebiotics. What's the difference?
Right. So probiotics are the actual live beneficial bacteria. You're introducing new good guys, so to speak. You find them in fermented foods.
Like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi.
Exactly. Those are great natural sources. Then you have prebiotics. These aren't bacteria themselves. They're specific types of non-digestible fiber. They act as food for the good bacteria that are already living in your gut.
So prebiotics feed the probiotics.
Essentially, yeah. They help the beneficial microbes thrive. And you get prebiotics mainly from plant fibers, things like onions, garlic, bananas, oats, asparagus, artichokes. Diversity in your plant intake is key here.
So ideally get these from food first.
Definitely. Food first is always the best approach. But supplements can play a role, particularly for filling specific gaps. Things like vitamin D, which many people are low in, and omega-3 fatty acids seem generally useful for most people.
But a word of caution on supplements.
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial to remember the supplement industry is largely unregulated. Quality varies wildly. You have to do your research on brands, look for third-party testing if possible.
And check for interactions, right?
Yes, super important. Always talk to your doctor, especially if you're on any medication. Some seemingly harmless supplements can cause real problems, like St. John's wort can interfere with antidepressants and birth control. Activated charcoal can bind to medications and make them less effective. You need to be careful.
Good warning. Okay, last pillar, sleep. Often overlooked, but maybe the most foundational.
You could definitely argue that. The sources are emphatic. Chronic sleep deprivation undermines everything else: memory, mood, emotional regulation, immune function.
And self-control, linking back to our earlier points.
Absolutely critical link. When you're sleep deprived, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive functions like planning, impulse control, decision-making, it doesn't work as well. It's essentially impaired.
So your ability to resist temptation just tanks.
Precisely. Those more primitive, instant gratification-seeking parts of the brain, the dopamine pathways we talked about, they have much more sway. Being tired literally makes it harder to say no to the cookie or to stop scrolling. Lack of sleep actually increases certain aspects of dopamine signaling related to seeking reward.
Wow. Okay, so it actively works against all the good habits we're trying to build. If most of us need, say, 7 to 8 hours, what are the key practical sleep hacks?
Consistency is king. A regular sleep schedule, same bedtime, same wake-up time, as much as possible, even on weekends.
The weekend thing is hard. But you can't really catch up on sleep, can you?
Not effectively, no. Sleep debt is a real thing, and binge sleeping on Sunday doesn't fully erase the effects of skimping during the week. Stick to the schedule. If you need to shift it, do it gradually, maybe 15 minutes earlier or later each day.
And the bedroom environment. Make it a cave.
Pretty much, yeah. Dark is crucial. Use blackout curtains, eye masks, cover any little LED lights. And cool. The ideal temperature is surprisingly cool, around 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 Celsius. Your body temperature needs to drop slightly to initiate sleep.
What about light exposure during the day?
Super important for setting your internal clock, your circadian rhythm. Get bright light, preferably natural sunlight, as soon as you can after waking up. Even 10-15 minutes makes a difference.
And conversely, avoid bright light at night, especially the blue light from screens.
Yes. That blue light actively suppresses melatonin production, the hormone that makes you feel sleepy. So ideally, stop using phones, tablets, laptops an hour or two before bed, or at least use blue light filters or night mode settings.
Okay. And the obvious culprits, caffeine and alcohol.
Right. Avoid caffeine for at least 6 hours before bed, maybe longer if you're sensitive. And alcohol. This is a tricky one. It might make you feel drowsy initially because it's a sedative.
Yeah, nightcap seems relaxing.
But it actually disrupts your sleep architecture later in the night. It fragments sleep, reduces REM sleep, which is vital for memory and emotional processing. You might fall asleep faster, but the quality of sleep is much worse. So definitely avoid it close to bedtime if good sleep is your goal. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly clarifying. We've really covered the core pillars: managing dopamine, shaping our behavior with these nudges and micro-resolutions, and then locking down the fundamentals of nutrition and sleep.
Yeah, I think we hit the mission. We've mapped out how you can essentially biohack these key areas using strategies that are achievable, not crazy sci-fi stuff, but practical steps.
It really seems the message is that true biohacking isn't about becoming superhuman overnight.
Not at all. It's more about, respecting your body's natural systems, understanding its limits and its needs, and then using that understanding, plus daily consistency, leveraging neuroplasticity, building habits to move towards things that are genuinely meaningful, pursuing that earned pleasure we talked about.
Building a foundation for long-term goals, not just quick fixes.
Exactly.
So, a final thought for everyone listening. If dopamine is that chemical driving us to seek more, how can you use these foundational principles, managing your dopamine triggers, nudging your environment, eating well, sleeping well, to redefine what more actually means for you?
That's a great question.
Maybe just start with one thing this week. One micro-resolution. What's the smallest strategic change you could make today that you know you could stick with? Maybe it is putting those running shoes out. Maybe it's swapping one sugary drink for water. Just one small step.
That first step is often the hardest, but also the most important.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. This was incredibly insightful, and thank you all for joining us on the deep dive.